everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Gemma and I am finally right on time for the August Upcrate, which has landed in my letterbox about 10 minutes ago. So today we are going to unbox, see what's inside this monthly subscription box. So let us get into the box. I always forget about this sticker. So this is the monthly art subscription box from Germany, and this follows roughly the same format as a scroller box, if you're familiar with that. So let's take a little look at what is in the bottom of the box first of all. So here, oh, this looks lovely. Here is our featured artist. And this is Ruby. Oh, this is cute. This looks like watercolor pencils, maybe? Or watercolor, yeah, it looks like watercolor pencils. This is adorable. I love this style of artwork. Very nice. Okay, so here is some more of our pictures here. Alina Moshva, and she's a children's book illustrator. Really like it. So here is her Instagram handle down at the bottom as well. And we have some stickers as well. The stickers are by Fox_MB_illustration. And this is Ruby Newby's take on the on the Upcrate pirate logo. This is adorable. Super nice. So we've got some nice stickers there too. Here is our bottle post. So this is the magazine that comes in the box, and they've recently revamped this to be able to continue to give us this without any additional cost. So it is now on thin recyclable paper, which is absolutely great. So this has got details about the supplies, also tons and tons of inspiration and hints and tricks and tips for the mediums that come in the box. So if you're new to the medium, something you've never tried before, look no further than here to help you out. So we'll take a look at that in just a little minute. We have some paper. This looks like cold press watercolor paper to me. And we have 3 sheets. And now this is what I call the required cave minimum for a subscription box, because you want one piece of paper to test out your supplies on, because sometimes the relationship between the paper and the supplies actually says more than the products individually. So we need 1 sheet for that. Then we want a practice sheet, and in case we make a mess of it, we've got a spare one to create our artwork on. So excellent, that's exactly what we want. This feels like, I would say 250 GSM, maybe 270. It feels quite thick. And say it is textured, and there is a different texture on one side and the other, which leads me to believe it is machine manufactured cold pressed paper. Ooh. I do love it when we get an eraser. We have a Factus Tri 342 eraser. It's a fairly bendy eraser. I quite like the Factus erasers that we've had prior to this in the Upcrate, so I'm quite looking forward to using this. This kind of reeks of like old school, like literally old school erasers, which I quite like. So we'll test that out and see how good it is at erasing. We've also got a sharpener here. It says made in Germany on the blades, and it is a Lyra sharpener. I love these wee metal sharpeners, especially the dual hole ones, so you can do different diameters of pencils. They're really reliable, and because there's this little screw here, you can switch out the blades. So if you have a particular type of blade that you like to use, then you can easily interchange them, and they're super easy to change as well. So that's good. Oh, an H pencil, Koh-i-Noor Hardmouth H pencil. So this is our sketching pencil. We've had loads of these before in boxes, perfectly reliable, do the job, no problems with sharpenings and things, and as per usual. What more can I say? Oh, that's right, we've got a sticker for that. Available in the Stash shop. You can now buy stickers individually in the Stash shop. So if you would like it's a pencil sticker, you can go to the website here. I've got lots of quality, lightly used art supplies at bargain prices, as well as some new and unused items as well. So treat yourself, why not? Okay, here we go. I was correct. We have some Lyra Rembrandt aquarelle pencils here. So these are water soluble pencils, or watercolor pencils. And we have a selection of colours here. Oh, Viridian, dark sepia, dark orange, scarlet lake, Delft Blue, and Oriental Blue as well. So quite a nice colour selection. That's quite a nice little palette, a nice warm palette there for us to work with. We have, oh my goodness, a Colibri brush, a number 1 brush. This looks pretty wayward. I'm not enjoying how these bristles look. They look very wayward. I think this is supposed to be like a baby mop brush, which is, you know, really for doing washes and things. It does look like real hair. And there's no transit glue or anything on it. Okay, right, we'll have to look this up. It's got a very skinny handle in relation to the bristles as well. Okay, oh, and we have some Upcrate masking fluid. That's nice. Suitable for watercolour paper only, so they tell you that right on the front there. And I like this kind of masking fluid because it has a very precise nib on it, so you can, you can mask off tiny areas, and it saves on mess as well. By nature, masking fluid doesn't usually smell very good, so the fact that it's contained, it means it's not like whiffy under your nostrils as well when you're trying to work with it. Anyway, we can test that out and see how we go. Those are our supplies. This is quite a nice little set of supplies. I like it a lot. Bit dubious about the brush. And masking fluid, well, we'll just see how that goes. Let's take a look at our bottle post then and see what is what. So here's the kind of introduction and the showcase of the supplies. Talking about the pencils here, high quality watercolour pencils. I have to say I haven't used these particular watercolour pencils before, so this will be a nice wee adventure for me. Fun and vivid colours, create transitions and glazes with a wet brush, giving depth to drawings and transforming them into watercolours. They are made of pigments with high colour power and water-soluble binder. Pencil is made of quality natural PEFC certified cedar wood, and the end of the wooden shaft indicates the shade of the crayon pencil. The cores are 3.7mm and made of permanent UV light resistant and highly pigmented pigments. Okay, so UV resistant means it's not going to fade really quickly, won't necessarily stay like that forevermore. Intense and brilliant colours can be perfectly spread on the page with water thanks to their wax emulsifiers. They can be mixed and overlaid with each other without restriction, and the watercolour pencil offers exceptional solubility, well I'd hope so, which can be used to create excellent transparencies. Okay, so that's quite exciting. Yes, okay, so we've got the masking fluid here. It can be painted on paper and over dry watercolour to preserve layers which can be revealed later. I'm always a bit scared to put it over dry watercolour because I'm always frightened that when you peel it off it's going to peel the colour off, so maybe that's worth a try when we test the supplies out. It does have a slight yellow colour to make it more visible. That's helpful as well, so we should be able to see it. And here is the wash brush. So I was right enough, it is a wash brush, it's just a dinky wash brush. Okay, so that makes sense, that the bristles make more sense to me now. This English wash brush in flat oval shape was made with seamless silver ferrules and has a short cedar coloured lacquered handle. And the brush is completely handmade in Germany. Good for large scale work, for background clouds. Hair is extremely absorbent and keeps the paint in the brush body for a long time. So I think this is natural hair, I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't tell us here either. I wonder if it tells us on the brush. No, it doesn't. Okay, they've kept it short about the sharpener. Metal sharpener with 2 openings for pencils up to 11mm in diameter. Made with blades of the best German quality. And the erasers as well. Oh, look at their cute colours. Elastic quality, flexible, synthetic rubber eraser, triangular shape. And our pencil. I love how they've said more about the pencil here than the pencil sharpener, and it's just a pencil. Hexagonal wood cased pencil has shatter resistance to avoid excessive lead breakage. An H grade pencil is obviously good for sketching because it's a hard lead, so you don't get any smudginess, and it tends to be much lighter in colour than some of your B grade pencils, which is what we're going to use it for, obviously. So this is Art Space watercolour paper. It's 100% cotton and it's 300 GSM. Oh, I was a wee bit off that time. Perfect for wet on wet techniques with brushes. Colour can be mixed into each other to create great watercolour effects, colour gradations, and add additional colour to the initial colour while the surface is still wet and wet technique. And it is cold pressed paper. Okay, cool. They've got the Mona Lisa in the background with an Upcrate face on it. And right, okay. I don't know how to feel about this, because why would you not give us a wash brush with actual watercolour rather than pencils? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, never mind. So here is our co-captain and the... Oh, it's adorable. Really cute, warm illustrations, perfectly suited to kids' books. Oh, look at all of these. These are lovely. Really good use of bright colours as well without being garish as well. It's like that's, you know, there's a really nice choice of colours here. I like this a lot. So here is the how-to video, and this is how she has created the artwork that comes in the box. So you can scan the QR code down at the bottom here and that will take you to her video. I always think that's quite interesting to watch as well. Okay, so here is the art hacks section with Kuritaki Pixel. She's basically saying at the bottom here that she doesn't really have any hints and tips for working with watercolor pencils because she's just telling you how she's done it, but she is helping with sketching. So there's a little bit of information there on that, and you can see some of her examples here. And we've got another how-to video as well. Oh, this one's in German, I beg your pardon. I can still watch in German with subtitles, that's not a problem. And we've got our Sailor of the Month. Look at this. Chantal, and lives with her husband. I say her. They live with their husband and a little dog Lily in the middle of Germany. Oh, so lots of information there and examples of their work as well. I'm loving all the bears. It's like a panda page, isn't it? Because we've got red pandas and giant pandas on a rocking horse. Why not? This is nice. I like this very much. Okay, so we've got some illustration tips with Fox MB Illustrations. So this is the person, they've done artwork for the box in the past, but they were the ones that designed the stickers that we've got in this box. So this is more of an interview here, this first part. Oh, look. Oh, so lovely. So yes, here we go. This is a step-by-step illustration here, showing you how she creates her work. And that's super, super cute. So they've got a couple of steps in there. And there's extra tips down at the bottom as well for you when you're working with your watercolour pencils. So that talking about applying watercolour pencils here, so you can put it directly on the paper with your pencil and then wet the colour with your brush. Or you can scratch the pencil onto a palette and then wet it and use it like a classic watercolour. That's a little bit more hard work with watercolour pencils, but it is doable. And here is Emily. This is my favourite section of the bottle post because she does the colour palette, which we'll get to in a moment. And so again, a word on the actual pencils here as well. They can blend together and blur. And she's saying you can actually draw on wet paper as well, and that lets the colour spread out and it kind of makes it go woof. So here's her little colour wheel. I say I love this part because I like all the colours together. And these look lovely, absolutely lovely. So she's done a bit of mixing here as well. So she's pointed out which ones are the pencils in their raw form. And these are the colours that she's managed to get by mixing. So if you mix your Viridian and your Oriental Blue in equal parts, you're going to get a sort of more turquoisey colour. So this is really helpful as well if you want to learn a bit of colour theory. And here is her sort of planning process, you know, when she's sort of taking steps to figure out what the supplies do, you know, what kind of marks they make on the paper, and then trying to put it into, you know, put it all together into a design. And here is another little step-by-step as well, which is really cute as well. So you can have a little go at that if you're lacking inspiration for something for yourself. Okay, so on these back pages here, there is a section here on the rules of the Upcrate battle. So there's obviously been a little bit of chat about this. They're telling you what additional supplies that you're allowed to use to qualify for the Upcrate battle, because the Upcrate battle is essentially a competition. You can win something. So they're telling you the things that it's okay to use, things that are definitely not allowed to be used, extra colours. I find it really interesting that they're including this because one of the things that I complain about practically every month is that sometimes people get different colours. So I don't think it's really fair to include that and even make it a thing at all. But anyway, yeah, they're talking about things like washi tape, sketching pencils, erasers, scissors and knives, etc. are all allowed, and paper as well, as long as it's the same type of paper. So if you run out of paper, you know, they're not really going to be very happy if you use, you know, like a smooth marker paper when it's watercolour paper that's been given in the box. And they're also talking about the prompts themselves and how they're open to interpretation, which I kind of assumed was a given, but what they're saying is a lot of people seem to be taking them quite literally or doing something based on the co-captain's artwork, which is fine. I mean, that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think they're going to disqualify you for that, but you know that what they're saying is like, but you can take that as tenuous a link as you want. The other thing that they're talking about here, which is very interesting as well, is Culture and Gut, which is their shipping partner. So these are the people that ship their boxes, and they're actually having an Upcrate workshop with their partners. So if you are in Germany then and you're nearby, I think it's in Hamburg, then that is definitely worth a shout for sure. So this is the Upcrate battle from Let It Out, which was May, and these are really pretty as well. Really, really pretty. Very nice. Oh, worldwide map. Yeah, I love this one. This is, oh, this is lovely. I really like that. Yeah, these are super fun. These are super fun. I really enjoyed this prompt, and you guys enjoyed my video on the prompt as well about my imaginary farm, and that's something I would actually like to do on an A3 sheet of paper. So I think I'm actually going to take the time to revisit that probably a bit later on into the autumn. But yeah, I love looking at this stuff. It was such a simple box in terms of supplies as well, and it's created some amazing results here. Instagram inspiration. So these are people that have used watercolor pencils, so you can go and check these out and follow them if it's something that tickles your creative juices. And on the back here we have the Upcrate battle, which is childhood dreams. The prize is the full set of these paintbrushes that we're wondering about. We all dreamt in our childhood, dreamed of monsters under our bed, of what we wanted to be when we grew up. So we have to use these materials to try and create something around the prompt childhood dreams. And I think that's depicted beautifully by the co-captain. Very nice indeed. Alrighty ho, so we are going to start with our pencil. Terribly exciting. So an H pencil, quite light, quite hard. Obviously H stands for hard, so that means we can get lovely delicate sketch lines that aren't going to show through too much with our watercolor pencils. Because it is a harder core, it means as well that the actual pigment in the watercolor, you know, if we activate these pencils, it's not going to get muddied up with too much graphite either. Just to show you what you're looking at, so it's quite a scratchy pencil. We're not going to get too dark of a line there, but I want to do this because we want to test out our eraser as well. And even on its side, you're not going to get a terrible amount going on there. It's not really designed for that. Construction lines mainly. So that's fine. Let's have a wee sharpen as well, just for a giggle. Get my shavings pot out. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. Show that against paper. Nice pointy point. All good for that. That is a super pointy point. Wow. Let's try our eraser. I'm going to go through this part here. Some nice little pink shavings coming off mine. You may have white shavings or blue shavings. And yeah, that's taken that way quite nicely. It has kind of interrupted the texture of the paper, but I was rubbing quite hard there. That's to be expected. So let's try a lighter area here. So let's pretend I made a boo-boo with my construction lines here, and I don't want this. So I'm using my normal erasing pressure now. Okay, that's taken away the lines quite nicely, so I'm quite satisfied with that. It feels surprisingly nice. Like I'm a very tactile person when it comes to supplies, and I like the feeling of this. And because it's triangular, it's quite ergonomic in your ergonomic. Is that the right word? It fits well in your hand. So good stuff. Right, let's have a little go with these pencils. I seem to have dirty marks all over this paper, and I haven't done anything or been anywhere, or I don't know. Oh, that feels nice. So I'm trying to think of this as a pencil first and foremost. We'll worry about the watercolor part in a minute. Nice and soft. I imagine you could blend these quite well together. Going down nicely on this paper too. So yeah, let's see if we can get some layers down here. Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's it. Oh, I think it's going to look more sepia-y when it's wet. And this is the Delft Blue. So Delft Blue is actually purple. They just like to call it Delft Blue. It's a violet-y shade anyway of blue. I quite like these, even just as coloured pencils. Oriental Blue. I also really like this shade of blue. It's a thing for me. Viridian. Oh. And then we've got this orange shade, which is quite vibrant. That's quite nice as well. And we've got this red colour, Scarlet Lake. So a kind of orangey red. I think that might have been nicer if it was a deeper red. However, I shall reserve judgment for the moment. Here's the thing. We've got this mop brush. First of all, I want to see how well it holds water. So that's one dunk. And I'm just going to see how many strokes. Okay, that's disappointing. There's hardly any water come off of that at all. This bottom part where I'm rubbing my fingers now is actually dry. There's no water on it at all. Maybe I need to double dunk. I have cleaned this brush before I did this part, just so that people are aware. As a mop brush, oh there we go, we're moving now. It's still not holding that much water for a mop brush, to be honest. That's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm only getting a couple of strokes out of it. Okay, anyway, that's beside the point here. So let's try and load it up again. And we're going to take this sweeping across here. Yeah, oh, well that's not very, like I'm actually having to like poke away at that to make it soluble. I feel as if it's holding more water now. That's weird. I think in terms of this type of application, it's not really ideal. I don't think putting the colour down and then moving about is the best move, because you can clearly see the lines there. As expected though, the sepia is much more sepia-y when wet. I can't decide whether it's the pencil, the particular way that I'm diluting this out, the paper or the brush, or a combination of all of the above. And I think it might just be a combination, to be honest. Certainly not with this. I'm actually gonna go and get another paintbrush just out of curiosity. In fact, I've got a water brush here. That's a better idea. So this is just a squishy barrel pen that has water in it with a bit of a medium nib. I just need to get my water flow going. These are the Kuritaki Zig H2 Pens, if anyone's interested. I swear by these. I also like the Pentel ones as well, but these are the ones I use on a day-to-day basis. Now, let's just see what happens here. Better. I think, yeah, just because we've got more control with the nib and we can put a bit of pressure on it, that's actually taking out my original marks much better. If I do it here beside the blue one, you'll be able to see the difference between the right hand side and the left hand side. Huge difference. Okay, so I think it's just the fact that the wash brush maybe isn't the greatest for this particular application. However, the colours are really nice. They're really vibrant when they are activated. I think that the orange and the red are maybe a wee bit too close together for my liking, but beggars can't be choosers. It's a subscription box. So let's try another method then. Let's take our wash brush again, because this is basically dry, and I'm going to splodge down, I'm not going to flood the paper, but I'm going to put a lot of water down there. What happens when we use a pencil in wet areas? Answer, not a lot. It's not even bleeding, or I'll zoom that in a little bit for you. It's just kind of sitting there doing its thing, which is also disappointing. One of the other methods that I do like to use is to use a paintbrush with the pencil, and again with our mop brush, maybe not the best idea, but why not? So wet brush, and you can actually take the colour off the tip of the pencil. I do this with Inktense pencil. Oh look, we're getting it. Oh, there we go. Flicky motion. Woohoo! Found a use for this brush. Okay, there we go. So now we've got some pigment. And the wash brush is much better for this, obviously, because that's what it was designed for. And we can create, unsurprisingly, some washes. While that's still wet, again, I'm going to try with another pencil just for fun. Wonder what happens if I was to... Oh, there we go on its side. Whoa, that's pretty nice. And yeah, again, same thing though. Like that pencil is so stubborn. That is sticking to the paper like nobody's business, and the paint's just not going anywhere. This makes me not want to use the pencils on this paper. It makes me want to do something entirely different with them, which is a bit disappointing. So as a wash brush, this is great. Really happy with it. There we go. We can go for miles now. Application of pencil to paper and then using a brush over the top. It isn't moving the pigment about as much as I'd hoped, which is mildly disappointing. The other thing I want to try as well is to scratch this off onto a palette. So there is a tiny bit of water, like less than a full pipette drop of water, and it's just so that I can transfer the colour from the pencil onto the palette here. This to me just seems really, I don't know, pointless. Like, why would you not just use watercolour? I'm not enjoying the fact as well that we are being expected to create an artwork with these, and our brush is a wash brush. Yeah, look, there we go. That's much better, much better. I like the colours. I like them as pencils. The application of the pencil to the paper and then trying to dilute out is really not working very well for me at all. I have no doubt that this will mix. I'm fairly confident in that. I think just a combination of that and the fact that we've got a wash brush here as well. It's not even that keen on joining into what's going on already. This is a really tough box for me. Right, let's check out the masking fluid. I think part of the oh, hey, steady. Oh, they've got a bubble. Part of the reluctance for me is, and I know this is just my personal opinion, and anybody that uses watercolour pencils, please do not be offended by this. I have a lovely set of Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils and I hardly ever use them, and I think I just can't find a purpose for them. I kind of find them a bit pointless, to be honest, because I don't really know how to say this, because it's not watercolor and it's not pencil, it's neither one nor the other, it's in the middle. And especially as someone that doesn't travel and paint or draw that often, I tend to do everything in here in the cave because I'm always at home. I just find them a bit of a pointless endeavour, to be honest. I've never felt particularly motivated or particularly, you know, creatively inspired to do something when I get watercolor pencils. And I don't really know why I'm like that, but I just am. And like, it's not really good for one thing or the other here. I actually think these would just be better as coloured pencils. But that, of course, is just my opinion. I'm going to see how long. I've got a really thick bit of masking fluid here, and then I've put a much thinner part at this end. And I just want to check this for drying times, because obviously that needs to be completely dry before we start messing about with putting paint over the top of them. So I've left this for a little while. This has been sitting for about 15-20 minutes now. And the thinner end of the masking fluid is tacky, and I'm assuming that this end will... Oh no, this end's quite tacky as well. Oh, okay, I've just splurged that out. No, it's not. Okay, so I mean, you really wouldn't want it that thick anyway, to be fair. I was kind of hoping this end would be dry enough to do something with. Again, you're not really going to go over that with pencil. I'm going to try anyway. I just want to see what happens, whether it stays put or not. It's actually starting to come up because I've agitated it. Okay then, so let's try. And I was just having a wee ponder to myself there, and I wonder whether the combination of these pencils with this paper is affecting things here, because I'm really dissatisfied with this, like really dissatisfied with it. And the pencils don't seem to be that bad. That makes sense. So I'm going to do a little bit of a side experiment here. I feel that this is important to explore at this juncture. I'm going to take my wash brush now, and I'm just going to go straight over the top as far down as I can, because see, this isn't dry at all. Okay, so I'll just leave that to do its thing. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to do my experiment. Right, so the way we're going to do this fairly is I've got other watercolour paper. I've got the Strathmore 400. This is tried and tested for me. I use it all the time. But also, I have my own watercolour pencils here, my Faber-Castell set. So I'm going to try the Faber-Castell pencils on this paper, but I'm also going to try the Lyra pencils on the other paper, just to see whether it's what I was talking about weirdly at the beginning of this video, whether it's just the combination of things, because this should really be blending out a lot better than that. And certainly, I'm not even convinced that the featured artist used a similar type of paper, because there's absolutely no indication of that texture anywhere. So yeah, let's just see, shall we? I'm kind of run out of space here. So just because this is orange here, I'm going to grab an orange. I feel that's fair. And I'm just going to do this down in this corner on an untouched area of the paper. There's been no water or anything on here. So even just by the way that that's gone down on the paper compared to its friend up here is quite interesting. So let's do it on the Strathmore paper as well. So here's the Faber-Castell. So I'm just going to do one pass of pencil here, lighten up my pressure as I go down there. Can you see that okay? And I'm going to grab the Lyra pencil. I see the pencil feels much better on this paper than it did on this paper. So now we've got something to compare it to. And again, I'm going to use the wash brush again in the spirit of the box. Just going to pop this out the way for a wee minute. Okay, so nice clean brush. So that's the Faber-Castell. And you can see that basically you can't see any of my pencil lines on the part that I've just sploshed all that water down on. Now that's interesting. It's done a bit of a better job on this paper, but still there, which, I mean, that's okay though. That if that's a characteristic of the pencil, that's fine. But it's really not dissolving out the way I hoped it would. So I'm just going to try the Faber-Castell on this paper. It's more or less disappeared, like I could actually just get rid of that there. So my conclusion is that it's more the genetic makeup of the pencils than anything else, because that's pretty soluble looking in comparison to this here. It's a lot more vibrant as well, and it's exactly the same on the Strathmore paper. It does seem to dilute out better on this paper though than on the paper we've been given in the box, but that's just put that to rest for me because that was starting to irritate me. Okay, so just that particular method of application, if you want nice, smooth, blendy, you know, dilute out stuff, don't put the pencil straight onto the paper. Use alternative methods like our palette technique here, which seems to be working fairly well. As you can see there, I got quite a nice little wash on the go. I think if we want to do any more testing and mixing, we'll do it in with the actual artwork. I feel as if I've put this through its paces enough, but I'm still kind of like, because I want to try and blend these together as well, and just again, like, I'm doing this on paper knowing full well that this probably isn't going to be my greatest achievement, but if I mix it in a palette, it kind of defeats the purpose of having watercolor pencils. Do you see what I'm saying here? I don't know if anyone agrees with me or not. Please feel free to chime in the comments. Yeah, I feel as if I've almost got a mental block with this. So if we started in the middle here, this isn't dissolving out the colour, and I feel that if I use my little water brush here, that I would probably have got on better blending this in the middle. Like this. There you go, get a nice transition look. And then we can rub that little bit harder and get rid of our pencil lines should we want to, which sometimes we do and sometimes we don't, but we have to have the option of that with watercolor pencils. That's the whole point of them. They dissolve out. Yeah, okay, I think this is a really unfortunate combination of supplies, I really do. Okay, so I've managed to get a little bit of a gradient there. It's not terrific, but it's there. This is taking an age to dry as well. This wash part that I did, bearing in mind that was nearly an hour ago now, is still pretty wet. The paper's not very happy either. It's buckled a fair amount as well, which I'm not surprised at, to be honest, because I absolutely hammered that with water, if you remember. I'm really hoping this is one of these boxes, even though I'm a bit underwhelmed by the supplies and the way that they go together when I actually do the Upcrate battle, that I get a lot of joy out of it, because that would make me really happy. Okay, I had a little breather there, and my masking fluid is pretty tacky now, so I just want to try and rub it off and see what happens. It's proving really hard to get off as well, and I'm always worried about this because it's quite easy to damage the paper. You know, if you want to do something with the omitted areas after you've actually taken the masking fluid off. And I'm trying to be gentle as well. Oh, that's taken off the paper. Okay, truthfully, this hasn't done an awful lot of masking. And the parts that I'm pulling off has indeed taken the paper off. This bit's gone completely, it's disappeared. But I can't rub any more gently. Oh, there we go, that's coming off now. Sometimes they say that rubbing with a kneaded eraser works quite well, and of course mine's nowhere to be seen. But the other thing as well is this going to rub off my colour? Oh no, there we go. Okay, that's much more efficient. It's taking the paper with it. So that was a disaster. That's actually taken the entirety of the paper. So it didn't do a great job of masking. It did its job, I suppose. Just not that well. The paper underneath is pretty discoloured as well. I think I'm going to have another go with the masking fluid for our image that we're going to draw. I am going to have to find some confidence from somewhere for this. So first impressions of the box. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. The masking fluid I think is going to cause more problems than good, and the pencils I think I just need to have a little bit of time with them, you know, work them a little bit and see how we get on. So the Upcrate battle will be in a separate video, so I'm going to take some time to think about this childhood dreams prompt and see what we can do. I'm kind of puzzled about it, but I honestly don't know how much I'm going to use the brush, but at least I've got time to think about it. So that video will be up in the next week or so in between some of the other unboxing videos, so you can keep a little eye out for that. I would love to hear your thoughts on this box and the contents thereof, and if you have any plans or ideas for your Upcrate battle, and I will see you back in the cave really soon for another video. So have a great day everyone, and bye bye for now.